Familiar, you're familiar. So if you don't know by now, then you should probably get familiar.
Hello students, so welcome back to this video. So I think this is the video number part 4 for you, right? Okay guys, now in the last video I think we have discussed about the different types of X-rays possible to produce in the X-ray Coolidge tube, right? So we have classified the X-rays as continuous X-rays and characteristic X-rays, particularly based on the mechanism of production of X-rays in the Coolidge tube. Okay, so now let us see what is the possibility of producing the X-rays from various elements. Okay, that means I told you in the Coolidge tube, so one can use the target material for the production of X-rays, right? So what kind of target material is considered in the Coolidge tube? So do you remember that? So the target must be of an element. Okay, so the element must have higher atomic number and high melting point because it has to withstand the lot of heat energy, because whenever the electrons emitted by cathode and continuously bombarding with the target, okay, that is the anode. Okay, so it acts as anode. So because of continuous bombardment of electrons on the anode, it gets heated. I told already in the last video. So in order to withstand that, okay, the target must be coated with high atomic number, high melting point metal. Okay, so you have to choose such element from the periodic table. So there are various elements available, of course, in the periodic table. So like as I told, we can use the tungsten, molybdenum, isn't it? So higher atomic elements. So such elements can be chosen one by one in the experiment and try to produce the X-rays. So this is what the experiment to be conducted in the laboratory to produce the X-rays. So this work is done by the famous scientist called Moseley. Okay. So before this Moseley's work on the production of X-rays, you know, the elements, the periodic table consisting of the elements based on the arrangement is based on the atomic weight. Okay, you know what is atomic weight. So based on the atomic weight of various elements, the elements are arranged. But after this Moseley's work, okay, the elements are rearranged. Okay, rearranged based on the atomic number. Okay, it should not be on the based on atomic weight. So he just suggested that it is better to rearrange the elements in the periodic table based on the atomic number. Okay, because he concluded that, okay, so the spectrum, particularly characteristic X-ray spectrum for various elements, okay, varies and it is based on the atomic number. That is why atomic number is a suitable parameter to rearrange the elements in the periodic table. So that conclusion based on the experimental facts, okay, is used for the rearrangement of the elements in the periodic table. Okay, so that is very tremendous changes is happened in the periodic table after this Moseley's work. Okay, so that much of importance we have to give for this Moseley's work here. Okay, so let us see what is this simple Moseley's law. Okay, so what it suggests, so that how to consider the relation between the frequency of X-rays and the atomic number of the elements. Okay, so this work is done in 1913-14 year. Okay, so that particular conclusion is called Moseley's law. Okay, the conclusion is called Moseley's law. So very simple statement it is. You go through that. You see the frequency of a spectral line. So what do you mean by spectral line? I told in the X-rays there are characteristic X-rays are also produced, right? So what is the reason for production of characteristic X-rays? So whenever there is a interaction between the accelerated electron and the atomic electrons present in the target, right? So that some of the electrons in the atomic orbits, okay, just knocked off, okay, knocked out of the atom. So due to the interaction or due to the transfer of energy of the accelerated electron to the atomic electron, then that vacancy is filled by the transition of electron from higher orbit, okay, higher shells to lower shell. So this is what happens, right? So during that process of transition of electron from higher orbit to lower orbit, okay, so this vacancy is filled. Okay, so this loss of energy from higher energy to lower energy is emitted in the form of photon. Okay, so these photons are responsible for the production of high intensity X-rays. So they are represented as very sharp peaks in the spectrum. Okay, so that sharp peaks are obtained with particular frequency or particular wavelength, we can say, are called characteristic spectral lines, isn't it? So now that characteristic spectral lines with what frequency are emitted, and that frequency depends on what factor. Okay, that is important to be considered here. You look at the statement again. The frequency of the spectral line, okay, frequency I am mentioning particularly frequency here. Even you can relate it to wavelength also, okay, because they are inversely proportional to each other, wavelength and frequency, right? So consider now the frequency obtained in the characteristic X-ray spectrum, so that varies directly as the square of the atomic number, okay, square of the atomic number of the element emitting it. So whatever the target material is considered in the Coolidge tube, so whose atomic number must be considered here. So based on that atomic number, we can expect what frequency of the spectral line is emitted here. Okay, suppose if we change the target element with different element, okay, different atomic number, so automatically as the atomic number changes, how the frequency is changing. So that is what is studied in the laboratory by using the various elements. Okay, he has done the experiment with various elements as targets here. Okay, and he concluded that the frequency of the spectral line is not same for all the elements. Okay, he found that the frequency is depending upon the atomic number of the element used in the target. Okay, so that is what the observation. So you have to look at the relation now. He just related that frequency and atomic number, frequency and atomic number for various elements. Then he concluded that there is some relation. Okay, what is that relation? So according to the statement, the frequency of the spectral line is directly proportional to, okay, square of the atomic number. You know what is the atomic number? Z is the atomic number here. So Z minus B whole square. So the basic thing you have to observe here is the frequency nu of the spectral line and Z, the atomic number of the element. Okay, this B is called actually some constant depending upon in which series you are considering the spectral line. Okay. You know the various series, K series is there, L series, M series, etc. So in the last video I explained what is that different kind of series. So from which particular orbit or which particular shell, okay, the electron is knocked off. Based on that, suppose if there is a transition up to K shell, we get, so there are three K lines. They are called K series lines, isn't it? K alpha, K beta and K gamma. Like that we have three series of the lines called K series lines. Similarly, L series, M series, etc. So based on that we can have the value for B. Okay, now except that constant parameter, so nu can be observed as a square of the atomic number. Clear? So if you take the square root on both sides, you will get square root of frequency nu is proportional to Z minus B only. Correct? Mathematically you can write in this way also. Okay, now so that we make it as an equation, square root of nu is equal to, okay, square root of nu is equal to the proportional constant A into that Z minus B. Clear? That's it. So this is the relation, so that we can state the Moseley's law as, say, the frequency of the spectral line in the characteristic X-ray spectrum varies. How it is varying? Directly proportional to square of the atomic number of the element used as target and which is emitting the characteristic spectral line. Right? So simple statement, or you can write in this way also, so that you can plot the graph between the square root of nu versus Z for various elements also. Okay? So that particular graph is called Moseley's graph. That I will tell you in the next part of the explanation. Okay? So now we just go through the statement and equation. Now in this equation, so there are two constants. You can just write that A and B are constants. For what? For particular series. Okay, as I told, the series may be K series or L series or M series. Okay, so depending upon that, we have the values for A and B, constant values. Okay, but vary from one series to another. So different for different series, I can say. Now see, for example, here the constant B, in the equation, constant B is called particularly nuclear screening constant. Clear? It is called nuclear screening constant. And values, if you want, you can take some examples here for values for the lines of K series. Or for the lines of K series means what? K alpha line, K beta line, K gamma line, etc. So for all those, you can have the value of B is equal to 1, constant. For L series, you have to take the value of B is equal to 7. Okay. Experimentally, the value of B changes for series, different series. And similarly, the constant A in the equation, the constant A in the equation is equal to 3 by 4 into RC related to R and C. What is that R? Rydberg constant. Okay, you know about the Rydberg constant in the Bohr's theory. So what is C? C is the velocity of the radiation or light, you can say. So for K alpha line it is. You have to choose this value for K alpha line. In the K series itself, particularly for K alpha line, this is the value of A. And similarly for K beta line, the value of A is equal to RC by 9. It is, okay? RC by 9. Like that, you can have the constants A and B experimentally. Okay, so further, so this Moseley's law is very much related, okay, obeying the laws of Bohr's conclusion about the spectral line. Okay, so Bohr, there is a different concept in the Bohr's theories or Bohr's explanation about the emission of spectral lines by the various elements or atomic transitions. Okay, in the transition of electrons from higher orbit to lower orbit, so that how the emission of spectral lines takes place. So you can relate this Moseley's law to the Bohr's explanation of the spectral line, so that finally the exact form of the Moseley's law is written in this way. Exact form of the Moseley's law is given by 1 by lambda. Of course, 1 by lambda is nothing but what? Frequency itself, right? So you can write nu or 1 by lambda. Because in Bohr's theory, we are writing always lambda in terms of wavelength. So write it as 1 by lambda is equal to Rydberg constant R into B z minus sigma whole square into 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. Okay, I think you are already familiar with this kind of equation. Okay, in the various series according to Bohr, Baumol series, Paschen series, okay, Pfund series, etc. So now it is almost similar to that. So this is the exact form of the Moseley's law, you can say, right? So in this equation, so just to go through what are the constants used. R is the Rydberg constant and Z is the atomic number of the element and sigma is the correction factor, okay, and n1, n2 in the equation, are actually the principal quantum numbers depending upon which energy levels the transition takes place. For let us say for E1, N1 is N1, for E2, N2, like that. The principal quantum numbers only, okay, of energy levels between which the transition takes place. Clear? Okay, so this is all about the simple Moseley's law. Say, you can just look at this graph also now. So Moseley's diagram, as I told, if we use the equation square root of nu for various elements, okay, with various atomic numbers of the elements, so you can relate the equation, a graph in terms of square root of nu versus z. See, square root of nu is the square root of frequency along x-axis considered and the atomic number for various elements along y-axis. Okay, so you can observe that experimentally the increase of the atomic number is like this. The corresponding square root of nu is not again coincided in the same line for two different lines of the K series, that is K alpha and K beta is observed. Okay, so this split between, see, this is the split, as it is going like this, a split is observed, so not coinciding. So that is very important experimental observation. Okay, so in order to separate the elements, in the sense, so the element is initially considered as a particular element of constant z. Okay, so there is a slight difference in the element, so that is called actually what? Isotopes. Okay, in order to obtain the different isotopes of the same element, okay, so this gap between the two spectral lines for the same element, okay, is very important. So then only we can have the elements, same element with a different atomic number, right? They are called actually isotopes. Okay, the concept of isotopes is introduced after this Moseley's work, we can say. Okay, so like that we have various importance we can observe after Moseley's law. Okay, now let us say, so what are the importance after Moseley's law? Okay, so before that you try to understand why this happens for various elements, isn't it? That is the question for you. So this is because of the fact that binding energy, okay, what do you mean by binding energy? The electrons revolving around the orbit, okay, around the nucleus in the various orbits is binded to the nucleus in different energy, with different energies, right? So that is called binding energy between the nucleus and electrons. So that is different for different elements, in fact, right? So in case of higher atomic number elements, the nucleus is with higher positive charge. So automatically you can expect that the electrons are tightly bonded to the nucleus, right? It is very difficult to remove the electron from the various orbits, even though with fast moving electrons are going to be bombarded with the electrons in the various shells. Okay, so that matters here, right? The binding energy between the electrons and the nucleus matters for various elements. So because this binding energy increases with the increase of atomic number. As the atomic number increases, binding energy also increases due to higher positive nucleus of the elements here. So due to this fact, you can say, so in the periodic table, so as the elements with higher atomic number increases, the corresponding binding energy increases and corresponding frequency obtained in the X-ray production also increases. So in this way, square root of nu is directly proportional to z, we can say, or nu is directly proportional to square of the atomic number. Okay, so that is the reason you can say here. Okay, see the importance of Moseley's law now. Okay, so first one is Moseley's law provides the proper guidance that elements must be arranged in the periodic table according to their atomic numbers and not on their atomic weights. Okay, as I told, atomic number is very important to arrange the elements in the periodic table. Okay, so that is what suggested after Moseley's law. So we have to give more importance for that. Okay, so before that, elements are arranged based on the atomic weights, as I told. Okay, now as you see now, it is arranged based on the atomic numbers. Okay, now what is the next one? Moseley's law has led to discovery of new elements. See, various elements are discovered even after this Moseley's law. So that means Moseley's law is the basic factor, okay, to discover the new elements. See, for example, hafnium with the atomic number 72, okay, promethium with atomic number 61, then technetium atomic number 43, so rhenium atomic number 75. So these particular elements are discovered, hafnium, promethium, technetium, rhenium, etc. Okay, discovered with by showing the gaps, experimentally observed gaps between this K alpha, K beta lines in the emission of the spectral lines. Okay, so that based on that gap, it is possible, it becomes possible to discover the new elements as such. Okay, by indicating the gaps in the Moseley's diagram, we can say. Okay, see, the next one is Moseley's law has been helpful in determining the atomic number, particularly of rare earth elements, okay, and thereby fixing their positions also. So determination of atomic number of the rare elements and as well as fixing their positions, exact positions in the periodic table also. Okay, that is another importance of Moseley's law. And the last one, you can see, it can be shown that Moseley's law is in accordance with the Bohr's theory. As I told, finally, so the spectral lines emitted by various elements due to transitions, okay, it is suggested by Bohr, you know. So we have Bohr's theory. This Moseley's law is in accordance with the Bohr's theory conditions also. And hence we can, the theoretical explanation and experimental observations are similar between this Moseley's law and Bohr's theory. Okay, that is why you can say Moseley's law is in accordance with the Bohr's theory of the spectral emission of the atoms, spectral emission from the atoms. Okay, this concept is enough for you to in this video. Is it okay? So in the next part of the video, I will see with the new concept, that is Compton scattering. Okay.